What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite tech girly. I am a former fashion girl turned into an engineer, but I want to talk about these 6 roles that I feel like are criminally underrated. So I think software engineering and full stack development are very great roles. I used to be a software developer, but I think these are great technical careers for people that are looking to get into tech and they're not sure what path they want to take. And I also think these are great foundational roles to figure out what part of tech that you want to go into. So you could start in one of these roles and maybe pivot to software engineering. You could pivot into front-end development or hardware. Non-sexy technical role is technical support, our technical support engineer or technician. The titles vary, but you kind of get the idea. And for every job description that I'm going to talk about in this video, I will put the full description and definition of where they are. But I think technical support is a really amazing job. That's how I got my start in tech, honestly. So I used to be a technical services specialist. I did that for 2 years while I was working in college, and that is actually my first big girl. It wasn't really a big girl job. It was for a startup company, and I was making $13 an hour, and I was tired of being poor, and I was crying on the bus all the time, and I was so happy to make that $13 an hour. I just felt like a gazillionaire, and I learned so much about web development, software engineering, because I kind of did a little bit of everything. And I think technical support is an amazing job role, and you can build an amazing career. I would compare it to an undecided college major. That's what I would, if I were going to use a comparison, it would be an undecided college major. You don't know what you want to do, but you know you have an idea. And technical support is just that. You get to touch everything: databases, servers, maybe middleware systems like Linux, Unix, working tickets, working incidents. It's a cross-functional role, so you'll actually work with other engineers and other teams in the business side. I think it's a great role for people that are trying to get their feet wet into tech and they're not sure in what direction they want to go, but they know they want to work in tech. I know people that have been technical support engineers their entire career and they're pretty damn good at it. So technical support engineer, don't look down on it. It's actually low-key, like, it's a super dope role, because that's how I'm not biased, but I am, is Linux administration. Linux administration, I don't understand why Linux and Unix don't get the love like JavaScript and like some of the other web-based scripting languages. So Linux is a shell scripting language, not necessarily a programming language, but it's freaking powerful. If you like building your own OS, if you like building servers, if you like automating processes, Linux is amazing. Linux, there is a huge career opportunities in Linux administration. I may be biased, but you can build an entire technical career with just Linux. It is highly in demand. There's colleges, universities, banks, fintech that are always looking for Linux administrators. Linux administrators are like super clutch, you guys. And you can make a decent living. One of the things that I like about Linux administration, though, is like you can pivot into other areas of tech. So you could pivot into backend, you could pivot into networking, you could pivot into DevOps, you can into infrastructure and systems. It is a fantastic non-sexy tech role that has a very high demand, and it's a great job. And you could really, even if you didn't want to pivot into any other areas of tech, just by itself, you could have an amazing career with just Linux. A moment of silence for the penguin. Okay, listen, guys. Okay, friends. I get why help desk is not a sexy tech role. I totally get it. I do. I totally get it. But let's not undermine the power of help desk. So depending on what industry that you work in, if anybody that is watching this video that works in help desk, it can be a stressful job. It can be a stressful job. It's very customer facing. You are the first line of defense before a ticket gets escalated. Don't undermine the power of help desk, though, because with help desk, I think it's a great role to build foundational knowledge on how an application works, how a system works, because all the tickets that you work are customer issues. It really depends on the company that you work at, though, or you're trying to work at. Like if it's a financial services company like a bank or insurance, or if it's a product-based company like an Apple or an Nvidia that produces certain products. So most likely with help desk, you'll be supporting the users most likely, and also you will be working on some of the issues that those users face. So it could be issues with their desktop, it could be issues with their a particular application or tool that they're trying to run. I think it's great exposure to really figure out what part of tech. So with help desk, you could go into application development, you could go into technical support, which is like a little bit more focused. You could go into networking. Like, the opportunities are endless with help desk. I say help desk is something that you may not want to stay in long term, but long enough to get everything that you want to learn out of it before you pivot into something else. It's not sexy, but it's technical writing. I think this is disrespectfully underrated. So if you're someone that likes to put manuals together, if you're someone that likes to write papers on how things work, on processes and procedures, and you like really like that stuff, you could make a really decent living as a technical writer. I know before the whole tech job market became a trash bowl that it is right now, I know like just a few years ago, I would say even before COVID, technical writing is still hot. I remember there was like jobs in Silicon Valley, like Oracle and other companies that hired like 200K plus for technical writers. And technical writing, you can actually freelance too. Companies pay a lot of money for technical writers, even as like you could do it as a side gig. Like, you could put together training materials for corporations. Like, technical writing is very powerful, and I don't understand why it's not talked about. It's not a sexy role because, you know, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people don't like to document, but there's some writing geeks that may be watching this video. That is an opportunity that you could pivot into. Technical writing, you could build an amazing career with technical writing. About is an IT security analyst / cyber analyst. Cyber is still hot. The demand for cyber jobs is not going anywhere, especially with this whole AI has kind of really taken off, and companies are pouring more and more funding into AI. IT security analyst is a great role, especially if you wanted to start off as an associate or an entry level. Basically, an IT security analyst is someone that analyzes all of the risk and threats that could potentially harm an organization and all of their applications, their software, their hardware. So you basically analyze and find out like, what are the processes that I could come up with to mitigate the risk against our systems? How can I come up with, what procedures can we put together to mitigate an outage from happening? So it is an amazing role. Companies do pay decent bucks. I don't know what the numbers are for an entry level or an associate IT security analyst. There's different levels of certifications that you can get in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a really big space, and there is different areas of cyber that you can work in. But I just wanted to bring up IT security analyst. If you're someone that likes to poke around, you like to break things or find out how to make things better, this is a great role. And you could even pivot into a white hat, which is like a ethical hacker. So as we talked about security analysts, I thought we're going to talk about the last role, which is quality assurance tester. So remember at the beginning of the video where I was telling you about technical support and how I was a technical services specialist starting off my tech career? Well, in that role, I did a little bit of QA too. A quality assurance tester is an amazing role that I think it's not sexy, but if you're somebody that likes to break things or prove people wrong, so basically a QA tester is someone that will run procedures and automations to test certain bugs in a software and applications, and then report those fixes and then talk about how they need to fix them, how they need to address it. I think quality assurance tester is a really great role to get you introduced to software and how an application runs and all the different pieces of it. So I think it's amazing. And I think that with a QA tester, you could pivot into software engineering, you could pivot into front-end development, automation, because what better way to learn how to develop and write code when you become a tester, because it'll only empower you to be better at what not to do when you start writing code or when you start a path in development. So you guys should check it out. I think it's also a non-sexy technical role, but I also think it's an efficient role. And I video was super helpful for people that really want to break into tech, and to give you guys some context about these are the non-sexy tech roles, but these are amazing jobs that you can earn a decent living off of and then pivot into something else. As you evolve, as your career evolves, you don't have to stay in the same place. I just wanted to share all the options that are available to you. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.